Well, they put my name on another damn list. Remember that they tried to get my book removed from Amazon. Someone around Trump trying to get my book removed from Amazon. Amazon didn't do it. They kept the book. Great. Then the White House put me on an official enemies list. Donald Trump creating the media offender list at whitehouse.gov. Official list of the federal government. And then Donald Trump Jr. and Caroline Levitt have retweeted attacks against me, and we braved it. We braved it all. And now I'm being accused of working for a hostile foreign government. And of course, there is no evidence of this because it isn't true, but this is how authoritarian movements prepare their followers for retaliation. Before you start the formal retaliation, you've got to get your critics on enemies lists, and you've got to claim that journalism and commentary is propaganda and disagreement with the dear leader is treason. So this viral image may look laughably stupid, but I believe what it represents is very dangerous. Look at this thing. American podcasters who work for the Chinese Communist Party. Leadership of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, with an image of the leadership of the CCP. And then it says there, these are the leading 7 Chinese Communist Party funded anti-American propaganda podcast machines in America. And your favorite left-handed Jewish Argentinian American podcaster, David Pakman, me, is number 5. It also lists Midas Touch, The Bulwark, The Daily Beast, Harry Sisson, Prof G, and The Luke Beasley Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in a situation where, of course, there is no financial relationship between me and the Chinese Communist Party. There's no communication I've ever had. There's no source for this stuff. There's no explanation of what I or any of us supposedly did for China. And in fact, you all know, but I'll mention it, that I oppose authoritarianism and I oppose state communism, and I am against everything China is for. Someone put 7 Trump critics beneath a picture of Xi Jinping, put a bunch of exclamation points on it, and said investigation complete. Now it's crazy I even have to do this, but I will state it unambiguously. I do not work for the Chinese Communist Party. I don't like the Chinese Communist Party. I've never received money from the Chinese government. The David Pakman Show has zero financial or organizational relationship with China, the Chinese Communist Party, or the Chinese government. But the really wacky part is that ideologically this makes no sense because my values are fundamentally anti-authoritarian. I support liberal democracy, political pluralism, social democracy, free expression, competitive elections, individual civil liberties. The Chinese Communist Party is an authoritarian one-party regime that suppresses political opposition, restricts media, and controls speech. As a social democrat, I combine a regulated market economy and a strong social safety net with liberal democratic institutions, free elections, and civil rights. That's completely at odds with the CCP's authoritarian one-party rule. Now, there are left of center people who love these authoritarian regimes. There are commentators out there dressing like Mao, okay? There are commentators out there who love Kim Jong-un, Xi, Orban, Putin. They love these people, okay? Now, the tactic of calling every left of center person a communist in bed with China, maybe it works with an audience that has no idea what political ideologies mean. But anyone who understands what being a social democrat is would not confuse that with this person might like the Chinese Communist Party. If the creator of this image has evidence, I want it shown. Find something. But until then, I know my audience will understand that this is a fabrication. Very quick interruption. a surprising number of people who watch these videos aren't subscribed on YouTube. If that's you, hit subscribe. It's free. It helps so much more than you might think. Let's get back to the clip. But I think there's a more important aspect to this. Because you might be saying, well, what is this really about? There's a reason that MAGA and the Trump defenders are suddenly inventing Chinese funding for left-wing anti-Trump media figures. It's the classic, I know you are, but what am I? Because when you have actual evidence, this we have, what I'm about to tell you we have, we know that there was covert funneling of millions of dollars through a company called Tenet into major right-wing influencers in the United States. We have a federal indictment. We know that employees of the Russian state-controlled outlet RT were using shell companies and fake identities to finance and direct a company based in Tennessee called Tenet Media to funnel money to people like Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Lauren Southern, and those sorts of folks. And the indictment included evidence, communications, financial transactions, examples of operatives involved in figuring all of this out. Now, the influencers have said, we didn't know that that's where the funding came from. I have no idea one way or the other, but we have the evidence that it was happening. So MAGA took a real scandal involving covert Russian funding of right-wing media, and they go, oh, the leftists are doing it for China without any evidence. Well, Russia secretly funded a company featuring right-wing influencers, so I must be working for China? Now, it would be comical if this was in isolation, but it's not, because there's a very increasingly well-organized campaign of targeting me in this program. Someone in the Trump administration tried to persuade Amazon to delist my first book. And then Don Jr. and Caroline Levitt retweet attacks against me. And then I'm on the media offenders list. And think about how this has escalated. In the first Trump term, there were random MAGA accounts insulting me, okay? And now we have members of the president's family, the press secretary, the White House singling me out. Now, the viral propaganda image says, I'm really working for China. The objective here is to transform my disagreements into disloyalty and treason. Once Trump becomes synonymous with America, if you criticize Trump, you're clearly anti-American. You must support China or someone. And so this is how authoritarian movements condition their supporters to accept attacks on free speech. Discredit the speaker, invent sinister motives, claim that the criticism is secretly funded by a foreign enemy, and then eventually, when they do the censorship, when they do the retaliation, when they punish me economically, people will go, well, listen, I mean, he was supporting China after all. And when the White House is identifying supposed media enemies, it's not internet trolling anymore. This is meant to have a chilling effect. And there is a dark irony here. MAGA is falsely accusing an outspoken opponent of authoritarianism, me, of serving an authoritarian government, which, of course, I wouldn't do. And so, listen, this is why independent media matters. The David Pakman Show is not funded by China. It's funded by you. And if you all go and cancel your memberships, the show will end. I mean, it's really that simple. That's who's keeping the show afloat, not Xi Jinping or the Chinese Communist Party. And if this is intended to frighten me into silence, not going to work. I am going to resist, but of course, we need an audience that refuses to be intimidated as well. So make sure you're following the show. That's my ask. It's free. Subscribe on YouTube. The bigger we are on every platform, including YouTube, the more difficult it will be for them to silence me. Make sure you've pre-ordered my new book, Pay Attention, which, by the way, every sign is pointing to they're going to try to get the book delisted. You can get signed copies at davidpakman.com/attention. You can become a member at joinpakman.com. You can support on Substack, substack.davidpakman.com. This is really important. They can put me on their lists, and Don Jr. and Caroline can retweet the stuff, and they can say I work for China or Mars or the Galactic Empire or whatever. I will keep telling you what is happening. And what is happening right now is a coordinated authoritarian attempt to make criticizing Trump professionally and personally and economically dangerous. We are going to keep going. And by the way, as this happened, Look at what we just learned about what the Trump administration is doing.